This is Outside the Cage with your hosts Ike Feldman, Pete Hoffman, and we are being joined by Vickie Guerrero right now. WrestleMania 35 is right around the corner. It's at the MetLife Stadium. It's going to fit about 80,000 people, which is crazy. And you're here. Give us a rundown of the first ever all women's main event. How exciting is that, Vickie?
I am so proud of these women. It's going to be an incredible show. I'm going for Becky Lynch.
Oh,
I am. Yeah, I have to. It's so exciting to see how these three women have built this storyline, so to see that they have a chance to be, in the main event of a pay-per-view, especially WrestleMania, this is history being made.
It's funny because, Ronda made an impact in the UFC. We're the MMA guys. So we saw what she did for the UFC.
Incredible athlete.
Yeah, amazing. Headlining 6 pay-per-views. That was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. She comes to the WWE, and instantly it's like all of a sudden, like the Women's Royal Rumble opens up, and all these doors open up. Why did it take so long for WWE to notice the women are just as on the same level as the men?
I think it took a voice of the women to say, hey, we deserve to have a main event as well. It did take a long time. When I started in 2004, when Eddie was alive, women's matches they went from like 5 minutes to a minute, and then they were cut off air. So, and there was disappointment with them because they're great athletes, and they wanted to show that they could, prove that they could have a good wrestling match as well. So there was a lot of disappointment for years. And then finally, within the last 2 or 3 years, they started being heard that they could have the opportunity, to headline a pay-per-view, which we did. We had our all-women's pay-per-view for Evolution, and then the first ever Royal Rumble. That was incredible. So to be part of that is just, it's empowering.
Yeah, I know we're different biologically, but my wife just kicked my ass in chest.
We are not the same biologically. No, we're not.
Yeah, not at all. But you guys, I'm glad that MMA prompted up the women headlining the cars. UFC 200, Brock was the co-main. Everybody forgets that Nunes and Miesha Tate were the top. I know you said this off the air, but you said that they're still working you in, coming you back. The door is open, but are you kind of upset that it wasn't 15 years ago when it was all women all over, Ronda, Becky Lynch doing their thing?
Of course. I think there's a perfect time for everything, so for them to allow the women to have their voice to be heard is the perfect time now. So I think everything is all good in due time. And so they're proving that they deserve to be in the ring, and they're just outstanding, and just incredible. The incredible talent that's in the ring today is just, I'm a fan watching them.
Have you watched, have you watched any UFC fights with Miesha Tate or Amanda Nunes or Ronda's fights? Have you went back and watched them?
I watched Ronda. Yeah, I've always been a fan of hers because she's
badass. Right?
Yeah, she's always come to the WWE as a fan, watch a show, and I'd hate to be on her wrong side. So I'll be friends with her for a long time.
How do you think she's translated into WWE? Has there been a slight, you need to have a grace period, clearly. She's comes from a background where, UFC, it's more brutal, but not for nothing, but wrestlers in general are taking a lot of damage themselves.
But they have about the concussions, even people don't talk about that enough.
And they have to learn these moves and stuff like that. Has she transitioned well? Does she on the mic is one thing we've talked about. You were saying off air that you were even kind of putting yourself out there. You'd like to be the voice of Ronda Rousey.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hello, testing, 1, 2, 3.
I'm available.
Yeah, it's 2 different products. So I think that how fast Ronda came into WWE and to transition was probably overpowering for her because we're more entertainment than, MMA is.
Yeah.
They're more strictly just a sport that, get into the matches and you go, WWE has storylines and, there's promo work and there's, the entertainment side to make the fans happy. And I don't think she got enough training with that because it was so fast for her. But as far as the physical side, she's incredible, and she's proven to to everyone that she can hold her own in the ring. It's a different sport, but she's done very well. But when I've heard her with some of the promos, I'd be like, I wish I was her manager.
Excuse me, Ronda.
She sucks.
Behind the scenes, have you seen her athleticism? Obviously, we've seen what she's done in the cage, but do you see a different level of what she's doing behind the scenes to prepare, to warm up, like the night of the big match? Is she just a different specimen or athlete?
Of course, yeah. Because, she prepares for just one opponent, in MMA. So you have this one person that you're focused on. Any given day on TV, you could have anyone. to fight. So I think that she always has to be on her toes to be ready for whoever they're going to put in front of her, which happens on a nightly business.
She's Triple H, right? If I'm not mistaken, I was like, he's like 250, 260.
Yeah, she's taken on quite a few of the gentlemen. So you never know what you're going to do that night. So I think, she's always had to be prepared, just be ready on your toes, whatever they're going to throw at her. And she's done pretty well, yeah.
Do you believe in some of the promos she cut as her, like, breaking the fourth wall and cursing?
No.
Like, I mean, as an old school, come from a certain, specific background of, real hardcore wrestling. I mean, listen, she stated that she's a big wrestling fan, but
she is.
But that's taking it to a different level. When you saw that, did you get like, oh, come on, please?
Yeah, you could be a fan, which is fun and exciting. You can sit back in the front row and enjoy the show. Now she's in the action.
Yeah.
So it's a different story now. And, one night that she did a promo, the fans turned on her and they booed at her. And so she wasn't ready for that. And that the crowd will eat you alive if they see that you sense any kind of fear or insecurity. And they did. And I even tweeted on Twitter, I'm like, I just heard the most horrible promo. And everyone's like, it was Ronda, right? I'm like, no comment. But that's where I see, as a fan, on my couch, watching, I'm like, God, I would just love to do her promos for her because she doesn't need to do promos. She has the strength in the ring. So I always see that vision, like, what if I could just get in there one more time?
You're obviously saying, you see, again, we're being joined by the great Vickie Guerrero.
Excuse me!
And Mr. Benson. How your ears doing, Chris?
Good.
I don't yell at him.
Couldn't hear me. Couldn't hear it. All good.
It's my husband, and I don't yell at you a lot.
Not normally.
No.
As long as he's good, right?
Yeah. I need his help, so I can't make him deaf.
He's like, whatever you say. Chris, you're the man. But speaking of Ronda's, there's kind of like a mental lapse, maybe a little like weakness to the armor. She's obviously physically amazing, top of her game. You've dealt with a lot of animosity, hostility, cutting the promos, being the heel, getting booed, and you're still trucking through. Is that something that you were born with? Was your household loud and chaotic and you were just doing your homework? Where does that come from?
No, as a mom with two girls, I was yelling all the time. And with Eddie too, there's a lot of yelling, but it's something that you don't know you have until you try it, but every woman has their inner evil side, so I think it's something that's not hard for any woman to find, to bring out and, curse and yell and, just have that attitude. But I loved it. It was a great character and I believed in it and it was a lot of fun too. So going to work in the office was just, it was a great day for me.
That's the problem with men. Like, we compartmentalize stuff. We need to vent it more. We need to yell, excuse me.
No, you're fine.
Me.
You're fine.
How do you, being the heel, and did you ever want to turn back to that face again and stuff like that? Did you, like, as Ronda Rousey, we talked about a little bit, it was very surprising how she kind of went to the heel very quickly. Mm-hmm. Do you think she has an opportunity to get back to that,
No, I don't. I tried going baby and I hated it. Because I hate making the crowd happy, like to make them like me. And I think it's harder to be a baby than as a heel, because a heel, you can be who you are and yell, and you don't care if you're getting booed or not. But as far as a baby, there's a lot more work to it. You have to make them like you and continue that. As a heel, they can hate you every night, and it's a walk in the park.
Who was the best that you ever saw do that? That was just able to, shine through and get. Whether they started off as heel, like The Rock cut through, like that was impressive. He was a heel at first. He turned, and all of a sudden, this guy is bigger than life.
He was a heel at one point.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, where you been, Jumbroni?
Hello. But like, who was the best? Was it The Rock? Was he the best?
The Rock was incredible. He still is. He can come back to WWE and do an interview, and they love him and hate him. Yeah. So that's an incredible character to emphasize.
Wait, did he really write that song? I was just watching with Brian Monzo.
Yes. Anything else you want to say about that night? Because it was a horrible night for me.
Oh no!
I thought I was starting a storyline with him, but no, it turned sour.
Like your reaction,
he just told me, he goes, "I have a song I'm going to sing to you," and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to start with The Rock. I was like, thank you, Vince McMahon. I love you. Yeah, I went out there looking all fine in my dress and all excited. And he was singing to me. And I thought, this is going to be an incredible night. Like, we're going to start something. And then it just turned south from there. And I was like, yeah, I should have figured that.
It's amazing what he's done, what Ronda's done, what you're doing. Who, in your opinion, is like the best all time to put it together? The Undertaker, Stone Cold, The Rock.
Oh, that's hard. You have to put like 10 different people into one category because everyone brings their own talent, into the ring. The Rock is just so versatile, what he can do, whether he's going to be a heel or a baby. Stone Cold's incredible. Gosh, that's hard. Kurt Angle, Paul Heyman is my mentor. So Kurt. He's incredible.
I'll give Stone Cold the edge because he was drinking while he was doing it.
Yeah,
was that real beer or
was that? Yeah, it was real beer. Yeah. He's only one of the very few that were allowed to drink on air.
Nice. Lucky man.
I'm working on that at CBS.
This weekend, I mean, obviously besides the main event, but what other fights are you looking forward to? I mean, Kurt Angle, you just mentioned, he's hanging him up after this.
I know.
Is this it? Is this final fight? We hear about that all the time.
It is. Yeah. We share the same agent for Comic-Cons, and it is his final, match. So it's time to be with his family, and do some other projects. So I'm really happy for him. It's great when someone can have a voice and say, I'm done. This is it for me. Not that it worked out for my favorites. I keep going back.
Yeah, but to say it's tough to break ties. It is. Everyone's always come back. I mean, these Royal Rumbles, you always see some random guy like, where did he come from? Where did she come from? But you guys just love it so much. It's
our
like
family.
Alumni Day.
Yeah, it's our second family. And I'm sure Kurt will be back many times. When I call him. Yeah. So you can never leave. And that's the great thing because when you leave your doors open, it's always something you can look forward to for WWE. They call me to do Table for Three tomorrow night with Kurt Angle and Eric Bischoff. Nice. So that's going to be pretty incredible. So, you always go back and you get your soul fed a little more. So that's the gift of going back to WWE.
Has Conor McGregor gone too far? I mean, he's definitely stole some pages from you guys. Is he going over the top with the chair at the press conference, with the mink coats? But now the dolly attacking other fighters and the social media barrage. Is he gone too far of trying to be, I don't know if you call it a heel or an idiot, but has he gone too far doing what he's doing?
Yeah, I think that he's just trying to draw attention to him, and I haven't really seen any talent. So, whenever you do that on a constant basis, you just have to, kind of sit back and just say, okay, show me what you can do, so to speak.
He needs to prove it. He lost his last fight.
Yeah.
I know, and he's this tiny. He's grabbing the mic.
He won't yell louder than me, though.
Who, we've seen the transition. We've seen, Frank Shamrock was one of the first to go to the UFC world and go to wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Lesnar, who's fighting again on this Sunday as well. But
Ken Shamrock. We interviewed Frank.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. His brother Frank. Yeah, that's what we. But yes, Ken Shamrock, Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey. And Shayna Blazer too, right?
Yes.
Now, is this are we going to see that a lot more often now? Do you see, for example, Brock Lesnar is supposed to be fighting this heavyweight fight soon versus Daniel Cormier in UFC? Hasn't been announced yet. Do we expect Brock to lose this weekend, give up his Universal Championship belt, and head over to the UFC?
Knowing Brock, he'll probably win the belt and then also, go to the UFC.
I could see that.
On both sides.
The great marketing, skills of Vince McMahon is that he likes to take different demographics and genres and blend them because that brings more audiences into different products. So Vince is very smart into who he wants to bring into, the wrestling world. And so I think it's great because we share different athletes, like you said, so it works out for everybody.
I trust everything Vince does. Dana White of the UFC, the president, now he's on the Forbes list, whatever.
Yeah.
He trusts everything. He wants to follow the guidelines that Vince laid out. Vince is 70-something. He looks great. I don't know if it's yoga or something, but what
he
the
looks
hell's
good.
the secret, man? He's a genius. He's hardworking. He comes off as brash. How's he behind the scenes?
He's great. On a bad day, you don't want to be around him, just like any other boss.
Okay.
But, I love him like a dad. He's very special to our family. He's so incredibly creative, with his product. And he only sleeps 2 to 3 hours a day.
Which is great.
Because I remember driving in from a town, it would be 3 or 4 in the morning, and he'd be walking out of the gym with his trainer, from the hotel. And it's just I'm ready to go to bed. And he's already getting up ready to,
A lot of naps?
Maybe.
I have to guess because that's tough, man. I have 3 kids. I need 6 hours.
Yeah.
Chris is a napper. Chris is definitely a napper.
Yeah. Aren't we all though? I mean, I'm okay with a nap every once in a while.
Forget about it. Yeah, I nap in the car all the time when I park. Trust me, I get it.
I'm driving. Don't tell you you're driving.
No, not once I get to my parking spot, I'm just like, all right, I'll conk out for 5 minutes. We're good to go.
A good little power nap. Yeah.
He's got me ready for fatherhood. He's got 3 of them running around. I'm like, all right, the car power naps is the secret.
Yes. Yeah.
When you're away, when you're alone, which is very rare.
Or put on a Disney movie and like let them watch it, and then you just take a little nap.
They love Disney.
Yeah, a little secret there.
That's always good. When was your first time you brought your kids to Disney? How soon?
Oh my gosh, it was my youngest was maybe 2 and my oldest was 4 or 5. I mean, we lived in Tampa, so we were at Disney World. We were like 45 minutes away, so that was our escape, on weekends.
Can I tell you this? The crazy thing about Disney is that when you go there, you think that the kids aren't really going to remember it, but they do. They really do. They know everything that's going on. It's impressive. It's like, I don't care what age. My son was barely 1 year old, but the youngest son was barely 1 year old, and he loved every second of it. So for Disney, if you have any second thoughts about taking little kids, definitely go.
And they have the biggest tantrums and cry fits when they see merchandise.
Oh, well, yes, of course.
They become into little devils whenever they've
stolen things. They've stolen things.
I'm like, who are you? You're not my kid.
Did they ever pull the excuse me?
I didn't have it back then. I just did a lot of like, if I ever see this again, I'm going to take you to that car.
How old are your daughters?
Now 29 and 23.
Wow. So coming up, were they or now are they deep involved? Do they see the social media reaction that you create? Do they Mom, you did this, you did that?
Yeah. Back then there was no internet, on social media, so it was just coming alive. Maybe like but my oldest one is very involved with WWE because she's married to Aiden English.
Wow.
Yeah. You didn't know that, did you? This is the Vickie Guerrero show.
Hey, you're dealing with the generic generic questions. Really appreciate it, honestly.
Yeah.
But
I do have to ask because again, I want to get back to WrestleMania because I'm excited about it. And again,
me too.
Listen, there's always some celebrity that we talk about. Vince finds ways to intertwine different genres, different sports. There was rumors when Conor McGregor said he was going to retire. Finn Balor throws out a tweet, see you at WrestleMania. I was super excited about that with Conor's latest actions. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
But Rob Gronkowski retired. Is that a possibility, or do you see anybody else like step into the ring that we've never seen before, or some celebrity that we might see?
I can't answer that. Like, who knows? I mean, I think I'm more starstruck that Joan Jett's going to sing for Ronda Rousey.
That's awesome,
so I was like, what?
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, one year Kid Rock, sang for us, and he did a concert at our after party, and I was just like, but I mean, you never know who's going to show up. Sometimes they do have surprises, so we'll see this year who it's going to be.
Do you get starstruck still?
I do. I'm a fan. When I worked with Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog, I was like,
come on, that's crazy. That's priceless right there.
I think it's my highlight of my whole career. Besides Hugh Jackman and Betty White.
Well, I mean, it's
Wolverine.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
Betty White's awesome too. What is she like? 93 now? 94.
I know.
You got better genetics than Hugh Jackman.
We had a cougar contest, when she was working with me, and she was like, how many guys can I attract more than you? And I'm like, well, tonight I think they're all going to go to your side. And she flirted with everybody, and I was like, you win, Betty, you win.
She's amazing. How did she turn it on? Was she like that constantly when you were with her?
She was amazing. I mean, she is just spot on, like just quick on her toes, and she's beautiful. I mean, she keeps up very well.
And she's all there too. Which she's literally like 95. My grandmother's 96, so I know that like as you get older, it's tough to keep it all together.
Yeah, I mean, she had her entourage, which I didn't have one.
Bougie Betty. She's like, "What's up, Vickie? How you doing, y'all? Click, click, click."
Oh, I'm gonna go to my dressing room. See my room right there? You're gonna go right there to the bathroom? Yeah, that's your dressing room. Yeah. See you later.
Anything else that you would like to see happen this weekend? Anything that you were looking forward to besides just the great fights?
Warm weather. It's gonna be outdoor. It's New Jersey. It's Meadowlands.
It's gonna be beautiful.
It's known for the wind.
There's no snow right now, so it's a good day.
No snow. Thank God. We don't need that.
No, I'm excited to see everybody bring their talent to the ring. It's the biggest show of the year, so I'm going to be a fan to watch it. And
we were talking about that too. Do you think it's since this is the biggest show of the year, but there's so many other pay-per-views that like sometimes you get like I don't remember back in the day when I was a younger child growing up in WWE, like I was excited for the WrestleManias, excited for the SummerSlams, the Survivor Series. It was like once every 4 months, and now they really are either every month, every couple of weeks, or whatever it is. There's always something. Is that getting to too much? Is it ever too much? I mean, it's a good opportunity for all this talent to be on this platform, but is it ever too much?
to me it is. You know, when Eddie was alive, they did pay-per-views like once every 4 months. So they built on this storyline. They got everyone excited. The families would come in for the pay-per-views. It was like this big celebration, like maybe 3 times a year. So I think it meant more because you could put more emphasis on the storyline, get the characters involved, build up, you know, what they wanted to do with this storyline. So the pay-per-view, you were ready to buy this pay-per-view or show up and watch what happens. Now there's like 2 pay-per-views, you know, a month. And it's just like, I don't think there's enough time for the characters to be developed and to show what this, you know, storyline means. And sometimes I'm like, it's just too fast, you know?
That's the same problem with MMA. It's 42 events just for the ESPN. Then there's Bellator and other. It kind of gets spread out too much. But Vickie, my last thing. When we're down in Houston, what restaurants should we try? A lot of pressure.
Oh, gosh. What would be a good restaurant? Yeah, Papado's seafood is really good.
Oh, I love
but
seafood.
you know, our favorite thing to do is to go by the water. You know, Kima Boardwalk. We love seafood. You know, there's
Papado's.
Landry's has great. You know, anything with a drink and a seafood is always a
Anytime
good
there's
meal.
drinking seafood, I can't go wrong. Yeah, that's unbelievable. Let's go.
Yeah,
Awesome,
so that's our
awesome.
favorite thing to do.
And good luck with your guys' teams. And I'm glad to see you guys bounce back from Harvey.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time.
Vickie, thank you so much for the time.
Thanks,
I appreciate
guys.
It.
It's a pleasure.
Appreciate it. Excuse me.
Yeah.
One more.
Give one more. One more.
Excuse